News Radio 840 WHAS. Good Sunday morning. Bob Sokoler, the Louisville Real Estate Show, here with you until the top of the hour. Thank you for joining us, folks. So we got some great questions and interesting scenarios coming up on today's Louisville Real Estate Show. Good interest rates actually be coming down more than we thought they could. Also, one thing that Truman forgot to do when buying his new house that he truly regrets, and some 9 home improvements that will get you the best return on your investment. All right, joining us for this show, we've got our dear friends, Randy Rocky, Swan Financial. They do a great job of shopping the loan to get you the best rate. You can reach Randy and Swan Financial at 502-645-0736. Also here, Lee Harris, who is legal counsel at Limestone Title and Escrow. They do a great job of getting your loan closed. We do that with them all the time. You can reach Lee and her folks at 649-7964. And if you're thinking of selling your home now or in the near future, we would love to be able to help you. All you need to do is call me. There's no home too big, no home too small. I work both Louisville, surrounding areas, and southern Indiana. You can reach me on my cell phone, 376-5483. That, by the way, easy to remember, 376-LIVE, or you go to bobsellslouisville.com, click on the little icon there, and you can fill out the form and submit, and I'll get it. And then for a pretty instant analysis of what your home is worth immediately, it's computerized. You can go to WeSellLouisville.com, click on the top of the page, and fill everything out. All right, Randy, Lee, you ready? Here we go. We're going to start with Randy because this is kind of an interesting scenario. The Fed is meeting they on a regular basis, and originally they were thinking, 2 rate reductions, short-term rate reductions.
Right, and now they're looking at 3.
Goldman Sachs says they're going. Now this is we're attributing this to Goldman Sachs. They're increasing it from 2 to 3, and they believe the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates 3 times this year. Do you and your people think the same thing, Randy? Is that legit?
Yes, and I did at the beginning of the year, and there's a lot of people that did not think this. I think rates are going to drop a point from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, and they've dropped probably almost a half a point already, and I think it's going to continue. And I want to kind of talk about the tariff a little bit. Like it or not, the one thing it will do is will take debt away from our country, and as far as, and I do quote, as far as rates, they will come down. The bond market will like it, and interest rates will go down as debt goes down, our national debt.
All right, now let's just jump in here on the word recession, which is a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Many people believe the increase, in fact, economists at investment banks, Goldman Sachs and others, raise the odds of a recession to 35%. But actually, recession is good for the housing industry. Am I correct on that?
Right, and a lot of people think we've been in a recession, 3 or 4 years ago. It's so what happens now? Yes, in a recession, the only way to get out of recession is to get the housing market moving. I mean, that's the big component. I mean, there's other ones, of course, but the real big one is that. Yeah. And the way they do that is they drop interest rates,
which is a really good reason. We love this show because we get the word out. And that means, folks, if you're not working with an agent, if you are not looking to sell your home and get with an agent, or buy a home and get with an agent, this is really the perfect time. Doesn't mean you have to sell. Doesn't mean you have to buy. But you want to get with an agent, get pre-approved, get ready to go. Let the agent tell you if you're selling, what needs to be or not needs to be done to get you the maximum value.
Well, and the other thing, Bob, is marry the house, date the rate. And I know we've discussed that before, and it's very important because, as you well know, when rates drop, there's a pent-up demand that's incredible right now, and the market's going to go up 3 to 4% in Louisville for sure this year, almost for sure. I mean,
you're saying the price of homes is going to go up,
right? And appreciation.
Yep, and let me just stop you for a second. Let me point out that really depends on the part of Louisville that you're in. So it varies based on location. Right. Okay, keep going.
But overall, usually 3 to 4% is a realistic number outside of the crazy numbers during COVID. That it went up 15-20% for a couple of years. But now it's a 3 to 4%. And the thing is when the pent up demand comes out, as you well know, during COVID, there was 50, 60 offers. Now I'm seeing still, and you probably are too, Bob, 8 to 10 to 12 offers on certain houses. It's ramping up now. And when that happens, houses sell for more. I mean, and simply supply and demand. And what are we on inventory? Do you know right now?
Yeah, about 2,300 homes in the greater Louisville.
What's the healthy market?
Depends, but 4 to 6,000 would be maybe
Okay.
6 is on the high
So,
side, but 4,000 I think is
so we go back to grade school or high school, simple
yeah, right.
economics, supply
Supply
and
and
demand.
demand, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I learned that in
All right.
college, Randy.
You got it. All right, Randy, we'll leave it at that. Just folks know we're very optimistic, and we see things improving
hmm
dramatically for
Yes.
the interest rates, which is going to mean a lot of buyer activity. So I'll give out my number again in a little bit, but just folks, please now make the time to call, start the process so you're not caught out there in the cold when things break, because who knows how long it's going to break.
And I want to say this. I'm sorry to hog the conversation
okay.
today, but if you look back at a video for us 2 years ago, not that you would not hear us being so optimistic. I mean, it is absolutely this is the time to buy.
So
it's that simple.
Perfect transition. If you'd like to look at today's show and previous shows going back 2 years and more,
You should.
you could go to LouisvilleAnswers.com. That's LouisvilleAnswers.com. That is a redirect to our YouTube channel where you will see this show and not only hear it, but see it, as well as a bevy of other shows. LouisvilleAnswers.com. All right, we go over to Lee Harris, Limestone Title and Escrow. And this is something that I think as we talk about buyers and sellers, I think this is important, Lee, and we turn the attention to something very serious. Truman bought a house in January of this year in a suburban part of Jefferson County, and he writes us in this email that he forgot to check the registered sex offender website before buying the house. He did that a couple of weeks ago and found out that a neighbor a couple doors down is a registered sex offender. He wants to remind everybody to check that website before you buy a home. It should be one of the things that you as the buyer do. He's wondering now, Lee, is there anything else he can do now, because he says he doesn't feel safe in his own home. So let's start with that, and then we'll expand it to what other websites that might be important to check.
Okay. Yes, I think as a buyer, all buyers out there, it's going to be on you to do that. Because the information is public. If you want to know any of the information, then make sure you check those things. I will say, however, that there are registered sex offenders in every zip code in Jefferson County and probably across the nation. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily someone who you can't live next to. Some are obviously worse than others. But Truman, there's not much you can do now. But I will say this, the people are mobile, they move in, they move out. There's not any way you could really ever predict who's going to be there at any given time. So that person may have moved, or tomorrow it could be you had bought your house, nobody was there, and they moved in the next day. So you really shouldn't feel unsafe, because that it is public knowledge that people know, the sheriff knows, the law enforcement knows where the people live, and it's not, there's not a neighborhood you could pick where there's probably not someone registered in some capacity.
Let's also review some other websites that you as the buyer or a seller could go ahead and review. And maybe Lee and Randy, if you've got any others you can add to this. There's one called Neighborhood Scout. That's all one word. Neighborhood Scout provides crime rates, schools, and demographic data. And I'm not sure, folks, some of these may require you to sign on and pay a fee. Just alerting you to that. I don't know how much or if there is, in fact, a fee. House Canary has advanced real estate analytics and home price forecasts. Also, Property Shark gives you a detailed property history, ownership records, and zoning info. Home Snap is an MLS-powered search with real-time updates. Most agents can do the same thing. And so if you missed these, again, you can go to LouisvilleAnswers.com and you'll be able to re-listen to this stuff, or you can send me an email and I'll send it out to you, bob@WeSellLouisville.com. There's some more, but that's basically the key ones that I think are important. We go back over to Randy Rocky at Swan Financial. Hannah is a first-time home buyer and does not have a whole lot of money to put down as a down payment. Now, a lender that she spoke to was trying to explain to her what 20 mortgage rules is, and she didn't quite understand. I think this goes back to what we were talking about at one time, the 20 rule, where do you need 20% down? And I think you have said, and we talked about on the show, no way, no chance, no how. Minimum down payment for Hannah and others.
0%.
And explain that for us.
Okay, so they would have a 0% down payment, and if on average, on closing costs and prepaid to set up escrow is about 3%. So as long as we can get seller concessions from the seller, so they help pay for the closing costs, which is very common, then they will bring 0% to the table. Now, there are some products that you could still get 0%, even if the seller will not help with closing costs and prepaids. But then, and I want to explain this. If you do a 0% down compared to a 3.5 or a 3% down, you are going to pay a higher interest rate. There's more risk involved for Fannie and Freddie and Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and FHA. So a lot of times we try to see if they can get a gift or whatever. But if they can't, they can still get a very decent, a nice loan and a very good rate. So just a quick example, a $200,000 0% down purchase, you're probably looking somewhere around all-in payment around $1,700.
Got it. A reminder that you've got to get, if for this to work, you have to have getting the seller on board to pay part of your closing costs, all of the closing costs. And that may be a little more trickier than just asking them, because they're losing money out of their pocket when they do that. But so just letting you know, there's more to it. But that's why you want
your team, they do a great job with it, and we need it. And if you have you can't always do it, but they try to make that happen for the client when they can.
And that's a good point, because quite frankly, that's why you want to work with an experienced agent. New agent may not know those ins and outs and all that stuff. So if you're thinking of selling your home, we have a free, no obligation booklet. It's free, as I said. It tells you it's got 150 plus tips, what to do, how to do it, and you can get it by sending me an email, bob@WeSellLouisville.com. Put selling tips in the subject line and send it to me, bob@WeSellLouisville.com. Back to Lee Harris, Limestone Title and Escrow. Aaron bought a house in Oldham County last year. She noticed in a survey that something looked a little strange. It turns out the neighbor had built their fence on Aaron's property. The neighbor acknowledges that they know the fence is on Aaron's property, but says it's been there 20 years and they don't have to do a thing about it. Nice neighbor. Aaron's asking at this point, is that true? And in this email, Aaron's asking, is there anything he can do about it?
Okay, Aaron, there's a thing in Kentucky called adverse possession, and the first time you hear about it, you think it sounds kind of weird, but after 15 years, if someone has openly and notoriously basically had possession of your property, which would be through a fence, that is openly and notoriously possessing someone else's property, and that is continued through owners or through one owner for more than 15 years, then they can claim that property through adverse possession. That is true. It doesn't just automatically go to the other person, but if they claimed it and they could prove continuous taking of that property for that 15 years, then they would be able to get that. So it sounds like a strange concept, but it is the case in Kentucky.
15 years. Just remember that, folks. 15 years. We're going to take a break. When we come back, 9 home improvements with the best return on investment. This is something you want to do, whether you're just improving to sell or if you're going to be living there. We'll talk about it in a minute. Continuing with us will be Randy Rocky over at Swan Financial. They shop the loan to get you the best rate. He's a good guy. The people over there are great. We suggest you give him a call, 645-0736. Also, continuing with us, Lee Harris, legal counsel, Limestone Title and Escrow. You can pick the closing attorneys that you want. We recommend, among the ones that we work with, Lee Harris and Limestone. You can reach Limestone and Lee, 649-7964. And if you're thinking about selling your home now, we'd love to be able to help you. No home too big, no home too small. Both the Southern Indiana, Louisville, and surrounding counties. You can reach me on my cell phone, Bob Sokoler, 376-5483. That translates into 376-LIVE, or go to bobsellslouisville.com and fill out the form. And for that free, no-obligation computer analysis of what your home's worth, go to WeSellLouisville.com and click on the top of the page. We're back in a moment on News Radio 840 WHAS. News Radio 840 WHAS, Bob Sokoler, Louisville Real Estate Show. We're here with you until the top of the hour. Thank you, Barbara Corcoran, my mentor. There was a report in Facebook that she had undergone another facelift, and there was this picture of her that was wild. It looked like she was 25 years old in this facelift. And then I looked at the date, April 1st. They got me. Yeah, okay. Yeah, right. All right. Continuing with us, Lee Harris, Limestone Title and Escrow. They do a great job of closing the loan, getting you into your house. You can reach Lee and the team over there, 649-7964. Also, Randy Rocky, Swan Financial. They shop the loan. They get you the best rates. You can reach Randy and his crew at 645-0736. And if you're thinking of selling your home or buying a home, you can reach me, Bob Sokoler, anytime, day or night, 376-5483, or go to bobsellslouisville.com, and for a free, no obligation analysis of what your home is worth with our computer, go to WeSellLouisville.com and click on the top of the page. You're thinking of maybe selling or just improving your home. You want to think about what improvements will work for you, right? Which will get you the best return. Because if you spend $10,000, you'd like to get $10,000 back or more. That's not going to happen. Sorry. It just doesn't happen with home improvements unless you're a do-it-yourselfer and you can do a great job. So, for example, garage door replacements really is kind of number one on the list. If you replace a garage door that's in really bad shape, you'll get 93% of what you paid for it back. But that means it has to have been a bad-looking garage door, beat up, paint peeling, a wood old one, that type of thing. How about manufactured stone veneer? If you partially replace vinyl siding with a manufactured stone veneer, it could boost your home's curb appeal. 91% on what you spent. So if you spent $1,000 on it, you're going to get $910 back. A minor kitchen remodel is something else to think about. Kitchens may be in need of a facelift. You can try some cosmetic updates like new cabinet doors, hardware, countertops, flooring, sink, faucet, and don't forget to upgrade the energy efficient appliances. If you spent, again, $1,000, you're going to get $710 back, 71% return. You do a basement remodel, adding an extra living space by finishing the basement may add some value to your home. Consider updates such as drywall, doors, trim, lighting, flooring, and adding some, maybe even a full bathroom. If you spend $1,000, you're going to get $700 back, 70% return. Or a window replacement. I'm sure the window companies are not thrilled for us to talk about this, but if you choose vinyl windows over wood windows, they may yield a slightly higher resale value, vinyl over wood. You spend $1,000, you're going to get 66 to 67% back on your investment. And then, for example, an entry door, new exterior steel door, lock set could spruce up your entryway, and resale value 64% is the return. By the way, if your entry door lock looks like it's been beat up or weathered, replace it. They're not that expensive. Go to the big box stores, get one and replace it. You can do it really yourself, and it will look a lot better. That's one of the first things buyers see as they enter your home. If it's really beat up, they're going to see that, and they're going to think, oh, the rest of the house is going to be the same thing. You can add a deck. You'll get 62 to 64% back if you don't have a deck and you add it. Bathroom remodel, 59% recouping of your money. And finishing an attic, if you have the attic and if you have space to be able to finish it, 56% back on your investment. Those are some of the things that you can do with improvements to your home to help get the value up. We go back over to Lee Harris at Limestone Title and Escrow for this next question. Zachary has an accepted contract on his home. It's scheduled to close in mid-April. A friend just offered him a lot more money for his house. He's wondering, is there a way to terminate the first offer and accept the second offer from his friend? Lee?
Well, Zachary, that's a great question. So once you have a contract that's binding, meaning you all have come to terms in writing and everything's moving forward, that is, in fact, something that the buyer can enforce. So there's only several ways to get to end a contract. One is a closing. Second would be a release. You could ask that buyer for a release if they're willing to do that. Maybe there would be a little bit of payment there. If the buyer's willing to take a little payment in exchange for a release, that would be perfectly fine. The third option would be to breach the contract. That's probably not what you want to do, because breaching a contract means that there could be damages. The buyer could have damages, and they might come after you for those damages, such as appraisal costs and inspection costs and things like that. Maybe moving costs, carrying costs, rent, whatever damages they may have had. So that's probably not a good idea. You'd want to either agree with them on a release or with maybe perhaps a little payment. If it's worth it to you to take the other contract, maybe it's worth it to you to give them a little something in exchange for that. If not, I'd say you probably have to close, because you do have a binding contract on your property.
And not to close would mean legal action, and that gets costly and aggravating, and you don't really want to get that.
Time-consuming, stressful, all of those.
Not good.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Lee. Randy Rocky, Swan Financial. Jessica is a first-time home buyer, and she sent us an email with this question. She says, how much house can I really afford? So she's wondering, is it 30% of her salary? Is there some rule of something that she can, and other buyers can go by to kind of figure out how much they should be looking for? Like, if they go to you, what do you do to find out how much money they can afford in the way of a purchase of a home?
Right. Usually it's, about 55% is max of your gross income. So if you make $6,000, it would be with any car payments, anything that you have a monthly payment on, you would be somewhere in that 3,200-ish range.
Wait, back up. $6,000. Are you saying per month if you're making 6,000 a month?
Right. If you're making 6,000 a month gross, and then your all-in payments would not be more than 3,200, including your house payment. So if you have a car payment of $400, you could have a house payment up to 2,800. So that's just kind of how that works. So and how we do it is we go in and find out what the budget of the client is, and then see if they can get pre-approved. Some of them want to know what their maximum is, so then we just keep running the numbers until we no longer can get them approved.
And it's really the time to get pre-approved now, folks. We'll give out Randy's number in just a couple of minutes. To see a rebroadcast of the show, go to LouisvilleAnswers.com. That's all one word, LouisvilleAnswers.com. And we're very proud of our reviews from our buyers and sellers. If you'd like to read them, you can go to LouisvilleZillow.com or LouisvilleGoogle.com. We think you'll agree. Our reviews are really good, and we appreciate all of the clients that we've worked with for sending in the reviews to Louisville Zillow and LouisvilleGoogle.com. Samantha, according to this email, Lee Harris, limestone title, has found the perfect home in Henry County. In this email, she says she's under contract, scheduled to close by the end of March. One thing she loves about the new home is that she has a gorgeous backyard with a pond stocked with fish. It sounds good. In fact, I can see Randy Rocky's mouth already water because we've seen pictures of Randy fishing. So okay,
get those fish out of there.
Yes, he's coming. Samantha, be careful. Anyway, so Samantha says the problem is the seller made a deal with a friend of theirs to always let them fish in the backyard pond. Samantha's wondering, does she have to honor that deal? That's a good question, Samantha. Lee Harris.
That's a very good question. Probably not, because typically in order for someone else to be able to use your property, they would have to have an easement. They'd have to have a written agreement that runs with the land. So they might have some kind of verbal handshake, hey, you can come over and fish in my pond. But then when they sell that property to you, unless there's something of record, and you would have found that in your title search that gives them right of easement to fish there, you probably don't have to do that. You probably just can, nicely say, well, it's my house now. Or maybe maybe you don't care if they fish, but that's really up to you, I think, at that point.
I got the impression she cares. And here's how, based on this email. So I would do this. I would call your real estate agent, ask your real estate agent to call the seller's real estate agent, and ask the seller's real estate agent to talk to the seller and say, look, I don't want to be a hard butt about this, but I don't want anybody walking on my property. Would you please ask your friend not to come on the property anymore? You've sold a house. It's the nicest way, I think, to do it. Don't you take the heat. Just let the chain of command there do it.
Yeah, there certainly is liability for someone you don't really know coming on your property and fishing,
Yeah. So, what if they slip and fall into the pond?
They can drown.
Yeah. So good. We got that settled, and I think that's a really good thing. If you want to find out how much your home is worth instantly, go to WeSellLouisville.com. That's WeSellLouisville.com. Click on the top of the page. All right, Randy Rocky Matthew sent us an email and explains in the email that he has had some credit problems in the past couple of years. He's wondering, so what's the credit score that he needs to shoot for in order to buy a house? That's a good question for a lot of people, Matthew.
550 credit score, 10% down, 580, 3.5% down, 620, 0% down.
Okay, you went fast. So 550
for 10% down payment.
Okay.
580 for a 3.5% down payment, and 620 credit score, 0% down payment.
And with those payments, interest rates will vary based on the credit score, Randy. And how does that?
That is correct.
How is it affected? Yeah.
Yeah, the lower your credit score, the worse your interest rate will be. But it's still worst case scenario. You're in the mid sevens. On an FHA loan right now. So you're still in pretty good shape.
All right. We go back over to Lee Harris, Limestone Title and Escrow. We received an email from Nicholas, who bought a home last year and is now wondering, Lee, if he could add his mom and dad to the title, even though they are not part of the loan. I'm not sure why he wants to add his mom and dad to the title, but and you may have an idea why, but he says, is there any benefit to adding mom and dad to the title of the home?
Yes, you could add them to the title. Anybody could be added to the title. It's basically done through a quick claim deed. You may be doing that for some kind of estate planning purposes. For example, if you put your mom or your dad in survivorship, that means that if anything happens to either one of you, the property goes directly to the survivor without having to go through probate. I suspect maybe the mom and dad are paying a little bit or helping out a little bit. Maybe that's the reason. But yes, you can just contact a real estate attorney and they can add them to title if you'd like to do that.
And as we wrap up the show, so let me give out Lee Harris's phone number. The folks over at the Limestone Title and Escrow can do that for you by adding you to
Yes.
your parents to the title. You can call Lee and the folks over there to close your house or to get something like that done. You can reach her on her own cell phone. That's a really good source of information, Lee, is 649-7964. Also with us, and we thank both Lee and Randy Rocky over at Swan Financial. They do a great job of getting your loan the best rate, and that's what you want, is somebody who can shop the loan, get you the best rate. They do a great job, and you can reach Randy at Swan by calling 645-0736. And if you are thinking of selling your home now or in the future, I would love to help you. You can call me anytime, day or night. 376-5483 or 376 Live. I work both in Louisville, surrounding counties, and southern Indiana. No home too big, no home too small. And you can also go to bobsellslouisville.com and fill out that information and submit it. I'll call you. And then for that free, no obligation analysis of what your home is worth via our computer, you can go to WeSellLouisville.com and click on the top of the page. Coming up next week, folks, 13 mistakes you may be making while doing that spring cleaning. We'll have that for you. We're out of time. See you next Sunday on News Radio 840 WHAS.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank
Bye.
Thank you. All righty.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Take
Okay,
care.
bye-bye.
All righty.
You too.
Yep. Bye.